Welcome, welcome. Hi, Dolores here. We are back. Super excited. How is everybody doing as we are continually reading Read with Me Unstoppable by Dr. Cindy Trim. We're continuing along, gaining so much insight and about transparency, about winning with ourselves, and just so much that she has given us. And we're truly super excited. We left you with a challenge to answer, to score yourself. On session 11, we left off on page 157, where we was challenged to score ourselves, 1 being a never and 10 being always. But before we just jump right in there, we just want to welcome everyone for just coming back, and hopefully you have subscribed to the channel and you're enjoying the content. We're just about finishing up Unstoppable, but as we continue, like I said earlier, we were challenged to rank ourselves on the scale of 1 to 10 for each of the following questions that she posed to us. And the higher we score, the better. Okay. So the lower we score, we need to understand that we need to work on ourselves, just work on ourselves being the people that we want to be. And it's okay to desire to be better. It's okay because none of us is perfect. And it is truly a desire from reading this book for her that she's teaching all of us and whoever would take time to read the book, to do better, to get better, to know who you are, your core values, to be a person of your word. If I say something, that's what I mean. I mean what I say what I mean, right? And she encouraged us to walk the talk. So it's super excited. And these questions are the challenge, goes along with the challenge that she posed to us on page 157. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump right in and we're going to go ahead on and continue because we're just about finished up this book. But she has a little bit more, a couple more wisdom keys and principles that she would like to share with us. So we're starting off at page 157. Like I said, just reading over the questions in the challenge. So I'm going to read over them again. And remember, you're rating yourself 1 as never, 10 equals always. Okay. So the first question was, I tell the truth. Number 2, I can be trusted to keep a secret. I listen when others talk. I notice other people's needs. I am always on time or early to meetings and events. That's one that I lost quite a few points right there. I am confident in my ability to perform my job. My family members and friends know that they can count on me to be available to them physically and emotionally. I admit when I'm wrong. I finish what I start. I keep my promises. She says, tally up your score. The closer your total is to 100, the more people perceive you are credible. Now, if it's a little low, we got something to work on there, and it's okay because that's why we're here. We're reading to learn and to discover how to make ourselves better. So let's continue on page 159, which is section 4, the winner's circle. Remember, we're all winners here, okay? There's an inner power that makes winners or losers. Excuse me. The winners are the ones who really listen to the truth of their hearts. Sylvester Stallone. Okay? With this final section, she says, of Unstoppable, compete with yourself and win. I hope to inspire you to move beyond living authentically to leading authentically. Okay? Winning is about so much more than you and your desires and dreams. Certainly, these are important. However, your true greatness is released when you embrace the fact that your purpose isn't to serve yourself, but to empower others to improve the world. That's real transformation, she says. That's real leadership. And that's the focus of this fourth and final chapter. So let's take a listen, let's dig deep, and let's do this. I realize, she says, you may not think of yourself as a leader. Yet, sure, you know by now that your attitude and actions influences others. But do you really lead others? I believe you do, that we all do in our own unique way. To some extent, you are already a leader in your home, page 160, your community, your workplace, and your social groups. With the first chapter in this section, Leaders Who Win, I implore you to become intentional with your leadership. It's important to know whom you are leading and how you can become a more effective and empowering leader. The next chapter serves to win others a better way, a better way to lead through service. If your idea of a leader is the person who barks directions from the sidelines, this chapter would challenge you to get your hands dirty. Servant leadership is a time-honored concept that is making an very impressive difference. In today's transparent world and its philosophy, you can use to make your mark, right? Which leads us to the final chapter in this section. Leave a winning legacy. Let me repeat that. Leave a winning legacy. Legacy is a big, often misunderstood word that's frequently tossed around, she says, without much thought. More than the money and material goods you leave behind, your legacy. Wow, that's good. What more people will remember about how you help them can influence the way people live long after you've stepped out of their lives. So in this chapter, you'll learn how to use all the skills, strategies, and philosophies we've discussed in Unstoppable to leave a legacy that inspires people for generations, she says, to come. We'll look more specifically at purpose so you can define in the grander scale of life how to use your identity, values, and unique strengths and gifts to make an unstoppable impact on the world. You have only one lifetime with which to make your mark. The people you lead, the manner in which you lead them, and the legacy you create for them will determine the ultimate impact of your life. If you want to win, you got to make your life count. Page 161, chapter 10. Leaders who win. Leadership is action, not position. Peter Drucker. Do you see yourself as a leader? Do you really? If you don't have a lofty business title or hold a political office, you may not consider yourself a leader. You may think you just a parent, an employee, or retiree with no real power. Think again. As John Maxwell says, everyone is a leader because everyone influences someone. That's good. In chapter 7, we discuss the truth that regardless of your title, position, authority, or resources, you have the potential to influence others. If influence is your ability to affect the behavior of another person without forcing them into action, leadership goes one step further in that it is both intentional and goal-oriented. The goal of empowered leadership is to change the world by equipping and encouraging people to become their best, most authentic selves. Because if you, as just one person, can change the world as becoming your best self, consider the possibilities when your circle of influence follows suit. Everyone is a leader, even you. Okay? The most dangerous leadership myth is that leaders are born, that there is a genetic factor to leadership. This myth assets that people simply either have certain qualities, charismatic qualities or not. That's nonsense. In fact, the opposite is true. Leaders are made rather than born. Warren Bennis. Page 162. I know you've heard the term born leader, right? Well, right now, this instant, I want you to recognize the fallacy of that phrase. We are born as babes with no ability to care for ourselves, much less lead others. Babies are not leaders, but they do have influence. If you're a parent, you remember all the sleepless nights spent walking with, singing to, or rocking your child? And do you recall the lengths you went to find your child's favorite pacifier, blanket, or stuffed animal? Yes, our little ones influence our behavior and even our attitudes. Babies can draw out a smile from even the most serious adults. Do a quick YouTube search for laughing baby, and you'll find more than 1 million video clips of sweet, genuine, uninhibited laughter. Watch one, and your mood will lift, she says, in a matter of seconds. Oh, that's good. You don't even know how that baby, and you don't even know the baby, she says, and still his or her laughter will cause you to feel happier and perhaps even to share your happiness with another person. A baby's ability to affect your behavior and even your mood is influence, but it isn't leadership. Leadership is purpose-driven influence. We've seen plenty of examples in the media of leaders whose purposes were self-centered, right? And self-rewarding, okay? Those leaders are driven by the desire for personal gain, wealth, or position. They direct people's action and manipulate outcomes that serve themselves with no thought of how their selfishness damages their relationships, others, well being, or even the national economy, she says. In contrast, empowered transformational leaders are others focused. They are concerned not for just themselves, but also for the well being and the improvement of the people around them and even the world at large, she says. When I think of people who are making a powerful, positive impact, I think of people like Melinda Gates. As a vocal gender equality advocate, she has been instrumental in working to improve, page 163, women's health and welfare around the world. Through the foundation, she leads populations with limited resources where, right, limited resources are given access to the services and information they need to improve their lives. That's one end of the leadership spectrum, she says. On the other end is a man named Mr. Barnes, who lived in my birth community of Bermuda. Every morning, she said, Mr. Barnes awoke, dressed, and went down to stand on the side of the road to wave the motorist wow, journeying to work in rush hour traffic, rain, wind, or shine. For 4 hours, he waved and smiled, exclaiming, I love you. Have a nice day. To some, this may seem eccentric or it's insignificant. To others, his words came at just the right moment. Through the years, Mr. Barnes created positive changes in countless lives. Many people have testified, Mr. Barnes, you've turned my day around. That's good. You helped me see a different perspective. You helped me change my outlook on life. What do Bill and Melinda Gates and Mr. Barnes have in common? Each of them followed an inner passion, an inner drive to see how they might make the world a little bit different, a little better, she says. That's what I call leading from the inside out. And that is the most effective and most authentic kind of leadership. Oh, that's good. Characteristics of an empowered leader. People today are desperate for leaders, but they want to be influenced only by individuals that they can trust, persons of good character. John Maxwell and Jim Dornan. When people use the term born leader, they often are referring to a person's natural proclivity for communication or his or her ability to connect with or relate to people because of their persuasive and charismatic personalities. In chapter 4, we discussed the truth that all individuals are uniquely wired and gifted with particular strengths and attributes. It's true that most people with an influencer personality, she's talking about the personalities again, page 164, type, are naturally outgoing. Well, these high is may have an easier time of talking with people. Their personality does not automatically make them good leaders, nor does the quiet nature of someone who is predominantly driven by a steady or compliant personality preclude them from leading well. In fact, in her book, Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking, Susan Cain notes that as a society, we often overestimate how outgoing leaders need to be. The truth is, quiet and self reflective people can be strong leaders because of their inclination of listen to others and lack of interest in dominating social situations. Introverts are most likely to hear and implement suggestions. Having benefited from the talents of their followers, they are then likely, she says, to motivate them to be even more proactive. Certainly, your natural personality shapes the way you express yourself as a leader, but there is no born leader, she says, personality type. Something to think about right there. Leadership isn't a gift that bestowed on a select few. It is a skill that is developed over time. We become leaders through a journey towards personal, spiritual, and relational maturity. She says your leadership is shaped by your experiences, your insight, and your strength of character. We become leaders that uh we become leaders the moment we take responsibility for the impact our lives will have on others. Everyone, especially you, can be a winning leader. I say especially you. Because as proven by your choice to read this book, for everyone who's listening, everyone that's reading along with me, Dr. Cindy Trim says everyone, especially you, can be a winning leader. I say especially you. Because as proven by your choice to read this book, you are among the wise who realize the importance of international personal development. And if you apply the life transforming mindsets to your habits and practices of authenticity, integrity, and impeccability to your leadership development as well, you will most definitely, she says, definitely make a difference in the world. That's a good feeling right there. I'm touched right there. Okay? Have a strong sense of identity. To move forward with this focus on becoming an empowered leader, she says we must first go back to the beginning, to your very identity. Bob Rosen, founder of Healthy Companies International, page 165, and author of Grounded How Leaders Stay Rooted is an Uncertain World, explains that establishing your identity must come first. Quality leadership stems not from what a person does, but who that person is inside himself. Meaningful actions can take place only after a person has looked deep within or deep inside himself and knows what he's all about. A strong sense of identity is like a well established root system The seasons may bring changes and even harsh conditions, but the tree whose roots run deep is able to withstand external challenges. There. So it is with your identity establishing a firm understanding of who you are, your purpose, your core values, she says, will help you maintain a clear perspective as you face new and greater leadership challenges. That's good. That's good for you as well as for those whom you lead. With healthy roots, leaders not only are more fulfilled and reach their potential, but have an effect on other individuals, and vast organization, Rosen writes. They motivate people around them to perform at their best, and they inspire companies and even the communities in which they operate to benefit, wow, the greater good. Along the way, and not incidentally, their healthy leadership has been shown to produce tangible results in a company's operations and bottom line. Mm. Unfortunately, the first thing many people unintentionally do when they venture into a leadership role is to lose themselves in the hoopla, she says. Wow, that's good. You know, the hoopla of titles and power, okay? The promise of profit, the pressure to accomplish more, and the powerful desire to impress or please people can tempt people to abandon their true identity. That's good. They try to be all things to all people and forget who they are. Ultimately, this loss of identity disappoints their followers and worse, themselves. Empowered leadership requires authenticity. Here are a few ways to ensure your root system, your true identity, page 166, remains intact. Nourish yourself. Let me sit up for this one. Take care of yourself from the inside out. If you are worn out, stressed out, or burned out, you're at greater risk, she said, of making inauthentic choices, either to please people or hopes of making a problem go away. Start with the basics. Get the rest you need and the nutrition your body needs to perform at optimum levels. Then feed your mind daily with positive, inspirational messages that remind you of your core values and your commitment to your purpose. She says to protect yourself from erosion. Wow. Meet regularly with a member or advisor who knows the real you. Ideally, this trusted individual has been in your life for a while. He or she may be able to recognize any concerning shifts in your attitude and or behavior before you are able to see them yourselves. Number 3, stay connected to your core. In Grounded, Rosen suggests the following questions for self-reflection. Answering them will help you remember and stay true to who you are and what you value most. And if you're honest with your responses, these questions will help you realize or recognize the circumstances in which you may be risking your authenticity. Let's go. What are the core values that transcend both my personal and work life? When I go home at night, what thoughts about the day give me the most satisfaction? What gets me excited and eager during the day? Are there certain people or situations that I consistently avoid? I'm going to read that again because I stumbled there. Are there certain people or situations that I consistently avoid? What is my typical reaction when I receive feedback about myself from others? Do I quickly identify counterproductive thoughts or self-talk? She gave us something to think about there. Act with integrity. Identify, first, identity, knowing who you are. Integrity, being who you are. Ooh, let me sit up. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. Act with integrity. Okay, identity is knowing who you are. Integrity is being who you are. Remember the Merriam-Webster definition of integrity? The quality or state of being complete or undivided. Wow. Just as it is important to your mental and emotional well-being to behave in a manner that is congruent with your identity, integrity is equally essential to your ability to lead, to make a lasting impact. Your entire life must be integrated, whole, and without, and without this discrepancies, right? Between your identity and your words and actions. That means it shouldn't be no difference there. The questions listed above will help you remember your identity. Acting with integrity requires that you address your weak spots, places in your life where you are saying one thing and doing another. Use your answers to these follow-up questions to bring your life into alignment. Oh, that's good. What areas of your personal or work life are not in alignment with your core values? How does this incongruence affect your team? What do you need to do, give up, or change to ensure that your core values are not violated, even by you, right? How can you spend more of your day doing what you love? Can you delegate tasks that don't use your strength or fit your personality style? What one thing could you change that will change everything? One thing, she says. What one thing that you could do that will change everything? That's something to think about right there. Change everything for yourself and for those you lead. If you consistently avoid certain people or situations, why is that? What needs to change? Do these relationships need to be repaired, or perhaps should the relationship be ended? Create a plan today for resolving this situation. How will you speak to yourself going forward? Write a declaration that reminds you of who you are and what you stand for. Really. When you feel tempted to deviate from what you know to be true about you. Repeat your declaration out loud. Page 168. Your examples leads the way for your followers by making complete integrity let me start that again. Your example leads the way for your followers. Now, by making complete integrity a priority, you empower your family members, friends, and co-workers to hold true to their values. That's good. Continuing building credibility. Okay? That's to continue building up my credibility. Integrity, trust, and credibility are the foundations of leadership. Leaders stand up for what they believe in. Leaders keeps their promises. Brian Tracy and Peter Chi. Okay, let's continue. As you learned in the previous chapter, credibility requires continual effort. It isn't something you do for a while and then stop when you have enough, especially in today's interconnected and transparent world. There is no fooling people. That's why it is so important to know your true identity and your true core values, so you don't have to put on an act, right? Brand Lomenick, author of The Catalyst Leader Explains, I've learned that leaders are defined by their inner strengths and convictions, not the outer portrayal of who they are. Your character will determine your level of leadership and even your legacy. She says reputation can't be delegated. It takes a lifetime to build, but only a few seconds, we've learned, to lose. Character is the foundation upon which your credibility as a leader is built. You've already done the work of defining who you are and what you stand for, and with an awareness of the importance of integrity, you are well on your way to building a solid reputation. Additionally, the practices that follow will further strengthen, she says, and strengthen the trust that others have in you. Keep your cool, she says. Leadership can put you in frustrating, difficult, or even scary situations. As an empowered leader, you must refuse to allow the emotions of fear or anger to usurp your personal power. Page 169. Wow. I'm sure you've heard of bosses whom people avoided or lied to for fear of their reaction to problems. You may have even been in a workplace where you felt as if you had to walk on eggshells, she says. Rants, cursing, or violent displays of emotion have no place in the life of a leader who hopes to empower and transform others. Outbursts demolish credibility. In contrast, when your followers know that you can retain control of your emotions, During stressful circumstances, they are more likely to trust you and support your efforts. Even in challenging times, she says. Check your calendar. In the in leadership sustainability, Dave Ulrich and Norm Smallwood explains that hypocrisy, the enemy of credibility, happens when a leader's stated priorities don't match up with their actions. Your followers, which may include your children, spouse, team members at work, and or the people in your community, constantly compare your actions to your words. If left unchecked, busyness can work against leaders and sabotage their credibility. Leaders always have a minor in which, I'm sorry, leaders always have a mirror in which to view themselves, a mirror that will replace hypocrisy with credibility. A calendar reflects what we do and not what we say, and it offers an honest look at our priorities, both past and future. Write Ulrich and Smallwood. Do an end of day evaluation. She says to see if your time is being adequately devoted to your true priorities. If there is a gap between what you say and what you do, develop a schedule that puts you where you need to be to stay in alignment. Oh, that's good. That's really good. As you grow as a leader, you will need to continually remind yourself of your core values and who you really want to be. Don't try to be all things to all people. That's impossible, right? Focus instead on being your best self. When you do that and are intentional about anchoring your leadership in your core values, it will be easy to cultivate and maintain your credibility. Page 170. Where will you lead? Thanks, Dr. Cindy Trim. I just wanted to say that. A lot of times people think of leaders as the out front people or the ones with the big infectious personalities. But leaders are simply change agents. Whether that results from being out front or behind the scenes, not only do leaders affect change in circumstances, but they also affect change in people. I like to say that leaders are simply empowerment specialists. That's a good word for it. I believe that every person has the capacity to empower others and be a great leader. You may be reading this and saying, I know there's more inside of me. I can see myself as a leader, or I desire to create change in the world around me, but I just don't know how. I don't really know what I should be doing. If that's you, she says, I believe that if you pay attention, you can quickly discover how you can be an effective change agent. You may already know how your strengths and passions could be used to affect change. If so, great, she says. Rise up and be a leader in that area. But if you are uncertain about how you will make a difference, take some time to consider the questions below. Your answers, she says, will help you discover where your leadership or your service is most needed? What stirs your passion? What do you desire to see changed? When you are driving around town, listening to the radio, or letting your mind drift, what catches your attention and stirs your emotions? What causes you to say to yourself something like, why isn't someone doing something about that? Page 171. Let's continue. Well, that someone is you. If you found something that makes you passionate, either angry or sad, or especially enthusiastic, that is where your leadership is needed most. In the next chapter, we'll go deeper into the leadership conversation. We've discussed some of the how-tos of developing the characteristics of an authentic, empowered leader. We'll look at why servant leaders are perhaps the most powerful of all change agents. Wow. Winning action, learning from leaders. Think back to a time when someone's leadership dramatically affected your life, for good or for bad. Journal about that experience. What did you learn from it? How can you take those lessons and either replicate them or avoid them with others? Meditate on the following poem entitled Anyway, and write your thoughts about it. Let's read that poem. Let's take a sip of water. The poem goes like this. People are often unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some false friends and some true enemies. Succeed anyway. If you are honest and frank, people may cheat you. Be honest and frank anyway. What you spend years building, someone could destroy overnight. Build, she says, anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, they may be jealous. Page 172. Be happy anyway. The good you do today, people will often forget tomorrow. Do good, she says, anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough. Give the world the best you've got anyway. Wow. You see, in the final analysis, it is between you and your God. It was never between you and them anyway. Oh, that is so good. Thank you so much, Dr. Cindy Tram. That was good. Okay. I never heard that poem, but it's telling you to continue to do your good, your core values stem from that anyway, right? Okay. Chapter 11, serve to win. Develop the reputation of integrity is so no matter where you go, you will represent your family well or represent your company well. Your goal is success in the service of others, not at the expense of others. At the end of your road, you want to be able to say, I fought a good fight. I finished the job and I kept the faith, as the scripture says. John Rowe, leading an inspired life. To God be the glory. Okay. When I was growing up, I thought a leader was a person who had a title or position of authority. In my childish mind, I believed a leader was someone you saluted or bowed to. She says, I thought leadership was about directing and controlling others. Many think that. Then I met the Benjamins and everything changed. I've already told you that I grew up in poverty. One of life's difficulties for me was articulating the greatness I felt resided within me. I never felt isolated due to our circumstances, but knew intuitively we were different. All of the people in our community were homeowners except us. So you know something is wrong there. Just can't put your finger on it, right? All of the kids I knew lived with both their parents, except us. All of the people around me had plenty or at least enough, but not us, she says. At one point, we were in such a humble state that we not only ran out of food, we ran out of water, she says. Poverty withheld the most basic essentials from our lives. She says, my mother was a single parent trying desperately to make ends meet. She did her best and taught us so many good things. But the reality is, my siblings and I were on a course to become. Page 174. Statistics, warnings for others of what happens when life goes awry. Then Mr. and Mrs. Benjamin came along. The Benjamins served our community in tangible and intangible ways. They began by meeting my family's physical needs, she said. Their generosity, even if it was just making sure we had water, wow, was significant. I'm sorry, y'all. But it was their example, she says, of servant leadership that made an incredible impact on me. They were the catalyst that motivated our community to act for the good of all. They challenged us all to be better citizens by their own examples of recognizing needs and reaching out to help those who had them. One more paragraph, and we're going to end this session. But we must let you hear just a little bit more about this story. The Benjamin service to our family lifted the oppressive lid off of my social, spiritual, academic, and financial beliefs. She said, because of them, I no longer felt alone or disempowered. That is powerful. I understood my own inherited potential to lead through service. As a servant leader, she says, empowered by hope, I was able to see greater possibilities for my future. Wow. I'm sure this couple had no idea how powerful their example was to me or my siblings, she said. They had no way of knowing that when they were serving our community, and in particular, my family, she says, with their generosity, acts of kindness, and words of encouragement, that one small girl in the Trim family, little Cindy, she says, would one day honor their memory in front of thousands of people across the globe. However, the Benjamins didn't serve others to gain recognition. They served because they knew they could make a difference in our community, one family, one little girl at a time. Wow. We have truly been blessed, and we're going to stop right here on page 174 and just take a moment and be truly thankful for this absolutely powerful book, Unstoppable by Dr. Cindy Trim. We are truly learning that becoming the winner on the inside that we have to be true to ourselves, transparent, true to our core values. And most of all, we have to want to succeed, not just for ourselves. We want to help the world and all the people around us. We cannot be selfish. What a lesson to be learned from this book. This is truly an honor for me just to read this phenomenal book, Unstoppable. I am truly so grateful. I just want to say thank you to all of you all that is reading along with me, and of course, you as well that is listening along with me. I am so empowered, and I truly hope that you are empowered too. Until we meet again, I want you all to at least subscribe. We're coming along to the end of this book, but soon there will be another book, and we are going to continually to uncover these powerful wisdom keys, wisdom principles they're hidden in these books. So if we don't read the books, we will never know them. Until next time, thank all of you all. Subscribe to the channel and enjoy this powerful enlightenment that we're all receiving. Thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, this concludes session 12 of Read With Me. Be blessed and have a beautiful day on purpose.